So these pictures were taken at this place called
Chukotka again.
Chukotka. I'm getting stuck on the pronunciation. Chukotka in Russia. It's in the Arctic Circle. As Gautam was saying, understandably because of the terrain, because of the climatic conditions, it is right close to the North Pole. So there is understandably very less population there, but whatever number of residents live there, they performed yoga. Now, as you can see, Gautam, through these pictures, they are mainly Russians and local residents. I hardly see any Indians in this particular event, but they also performed yoga and sent us these pictures.
Certainly.
So on the 8th International Yoga Day, so yoga truly being celebrated in more than actually 75 locations around the world, at places the Indian
more than 75 is the images that we are carrying, and carrying it along with the movement of the sun, but it's being celebrated. The 8th International Day of Yoga is now fairly well known and is being celebrated in over 150 countries in the world, in fact.
Absolutely. So as organizations like the United Nations give recognition to it, once the UN give recognition to the International Day for Yoga, its awareness increased, people understand the benefits of doing yoga and how it has the basic values and principles which every human being, as Dr. Raheja was just talking about, that it's communion or union of the individual consciousness with the larger cosmosic consciousness, and it is that union that
Yes.
yoga brings.
Yes, and I believe today is also the International Day of Music, which is also very good for the spirit. Does it bringing in fact yoga and music together, because you do sometimes use music and chanting for enhancing your yogasanas as well. Do you think that is a kind of union that really works well too?
Yes, yoga basically unites over all the senses like touch, smell, hearing, feeling. So all these senses, hearing also, so all these senses have a positive effect on our mind, body and soul. So it is not mere an exercise. Like in yoga, it's a very scientific way of doing. Like you are doing an asana, you are going to a particular posture, then you are staying there. This is what the yoga is, and then you slowly come back. It's not like that. So you are going to a pose like Surya Namaskar, you are doing 12 asana in one go in a slow, steady, continuous way. So,
not fast.
Yes. First you are doing asanas in the sitting position, then supine position, then prone position, then standing position, and ultimately you come to pranayam, deep breathing. So once you are doing Om Vilom, Bhramri, Bhratsika, I have been doing it regularly. So what you feel is you are going to unite yourself, If you are doing Bhramri, you are doing that sound of bhamra, like male honeybee and female honeybee. So you will find your brain calms down immediately. The stress hormones will calm down immediately.
The stress hormones
definitely
calm down.
Yes, yes. So the important thing is yoga should be done empty stomach, preferably in the morning, but you can do it anytime. Now there is a concept of office yoga, and the modern lifestyle, we have got so much of competition, ambition, targets, time pressures, then we want to be ultimate, and at the same time our lifestyle has become sedentary. Like we are sitting on computer, cell phones all the day, using elevators, not the lift, using car, two-wheelers, not doing any physical activity. So if you see, there is a many-fold increase in coronary artery disease or the heart attack in the last few decades.
It's the biggest
There
killer in the
is
world.
a increase in hypertension, high blood pressure patients. Like if you see the latest data, 1 out of 4 adult above the age of 25 is having high blood pressure. Every second person above the age of 50 years is having high blood pressure. So there has been a steep increase in the last few decades. Like
Even
if you
in
see
cancer, cancer has
1980s
become the second highest
Yes.
claimer of lives as far as diseases go.
the cardiovascular diseases are the biggest killer,
Yeah.
and they are lifestyle diseases. The latest data says more than 60% deaths are due to the lifestyle diseases like cardiovascular diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, cancer, smoking. So
And what kind of a category does cancer fall in? Is it also a lifestyle disease?
definitely, if you are doing regular exercise,
You greatly reduce the chances
you will
of
have
getting
less level of stress hormones. So once the level of stress hormones are low, you are having good relaxation, because yoga is inducing relaxation also, as I told you, because deep breathing, then holding, relaxation, corpse poses, all these asanas basically lead to relaxation also. Yoga is a complete way of living, and at the same time it will regulate your appetite, your desires, your ambitions. You become a more realistic person.
Okay.
You will set the targets which are achievable.
more realistic. In fact, I want to take that up with you, Dr. Raheja. Let's look at the the contrary point of view. You as a doctor know this, that the people who live the longest are who have the most zest for life, who value life, who are ambitious, who want to hold on to it. When a person is dying, tries to hold on to life as much as possible, even at old age, and finally when the person dies, gives the final push for holding on to life. And the patients who recover are generally, US doctors tell us, are the ones who really want to get back and who are attached to life. Now, does yoga give you a certain sense of detachment? You become less ambitious, saying, well, I'm already in a state of bliss. Why should I care to aspire for this worldly possession or this target or that target? Does yoga do that to you?
I will put it otherwise. Yoga balances your life. Balancing means you will go for what is achievable, what is sustainable, and how much you need. Because there is no end to physical possessions. That all of us know. If you have got Maruti, you want Toyota, you have Toyota, you want Mercedes, you have Mercedes, you want Lexus. So what you feel, there is no end to physical possessions, and they will give you happiness for a very short time, maybe couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months. Ultimately that settles down. Yoga basically balances, and as you very well said, no one, because as a physician I have seen very critical patients also. The ultimate desire of even the richest person is, Doctor Sahab, meri jaan bacha lijiye. He wants to live, and the ultimate desire of even the poorest of the poorest person
Is to live
or
on.
even the oldest person is that he wants to live more. That is with all of us. So that is natural.
So doesn't that come from attachment?
No, yoga will basically make you realize the reality of life. What I feel is, yoga will teach you let it go, when to let it go and when to keep going. Like if you really attach to someone, something really closely, it will only lead to stress, anxiety, fear,
Pain.
the sense of losing. But at the same time, yoga is going to teach you let it go. कि that feeling of sabr जिसको कहते हैं ना, कि contentment, that is a state of bliss.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you, Dr. Raheja, is about how people think of yoga as something that is good in terms of having good joints, stretching and everything, and they don't really look into the spiritual the mental aspect of it. They feel, oh, meditation, I don't understand it, I don't have time for it, I'll just do my stretching and I'll be done. So what do you tell these people?
Yes, yes. You start yoga. In the beginning, you will find your stretching, your joints are feeling flexible, your muscles are getting tightened up, toned up, your breathing is getting better, because I told you, when you are deep breathing, you are putting more oxygen, you are feeling more energetic. But yoga is a continuous process. Yama, nima, dhyana, if you go higher up, then ultimately when you go to a state of meditation, what you are doing? You are only focusing on here, your intellect and your respiration. And slowly and steadily you will find, in the beginning, because I have been doing meditation also in the end. So when you are starting to do the meditation, in the beginning you will have got so much of flights of ideas, running across, and you really find it difficult. But slowly and steadily, under the guidance of a yogacharya or a proper teacher, you will get to know that you go deeper and deeper, and ultimately a stage of bliss will come when you feel absolutely within yourself.
That was going to be my next question to you. How important is it to have a yogacharya, or is it something that you can learn from the internet and do it yourself?
I must say, to start up, you must be under the guidance of a proper yogacharya, and at the same time, if you have got any of the lifestyle diseases like high blood pressure, heart attack, cervical spondylitis, like even yoga has got an important role in back pain also, spondylitis, then asthma, COPD, diabetes, overt obesity, osteoarthritis. You should consult a physician or your doctor before you go for yoga, because yoga means not to tire yourself. Like if you are going to a Singhasana, you are going to Surya Namaskar, you are going to certain pose, you should never have that feeling of that pressure. You should have a cool, calm feel.
Absolutely.
That is yoga.
All right.
आपको कितना करना है, you should know how much your body can do.
कितना push करना है.
And slowly and steadily, over a period of time, maybe couple of weeks or months, you will find that your capacity will increase. Like once you are doing Om Vilom, you are doing deep breathing.
Yes, your lung capacity, your capacity to hold your breath, everything increases.
So when you are doing, this will calm your brain, nerves and everybody. You are breathing for 3 seconds, holding for 6 seconds, releasing from 6 to 12 seconds. But if you practice it over a time, you will find you can
do it longer.
Breathe in for 6 seconds, hold it for 12 seconds, breathe out for 12 seconds.
Okay.
So this is how you build up. It will improve your cardiorespiratory function like anything.
All right. Dr. Raheja, we'll carry on this discussion, but for the moment, Gautam and I will have to take leave of you. Our colleagues Mark and Tanvi are joining you to carry this discussion forward. As in the Guardian Ring, we're bringing you visuals from all over the world, in over more than 75 countries, where the International Yoga Day 2022 is being marked and celebrated by performing yoga wherever the sun is rising, as the sun travels.
Yes, this is a marathon relay coverage, and we're coming to you live since 3 a.m. Today, and we'll be on till about 10 p.m. So a total of 19 hours, different parts of the world, different corners of the world, as the sun rises, traveling through the course of the globe, is what this entire day is about, the 8th International Day of Yoga. And Dr. Raheja will be here with Mark and Tanvi as well, and we'll take your leave for the moment, but this coverage will continue to go around the world just like the sun.
Yeah. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.
Thank you.
The changing world of news. Headlines that you wake up to. News that shapes your day. Stories that matter to you. The latest and most accurate updates. A fresh start to a new day. The Breakfast News, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on DD India.
Namaste India.
Namaste land.
Marhaban ila al-Hind.
Indu ni hao.
Salam India.
Namaste India.
Namaskar Bharata.
Mui
Nous
India.
sommes
我
land.
们是印度。
Nahnu hunud.
India.
Ma Hindi hasti.
Mung Hindian.
Salam Hindustan.
We are India.
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Central Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now. As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on DD India.
Hello and welcome to our special Guardian Ring program. The Guardian Ring program, it celebrates the movement of the sun, underlining the concept of one sun, one earth. Now, over 80 Indian missions and embassies are organizing yoga events on a grand scale at iconic locations in their respective countries, and DD India is bringing you exclusive visuals from the iconic locations across the world to our viewers everywhere. Now, this year the theme, as we have been discussing over the last several hours, is Yoga for Humanity, and it portrays how during the peak of COVID-19, yoga had served humanity in alleviating several forms of suffering.
Yes, and as we have been broadcasting since 3 in the morning Indian Standard Time, the celebrations of the 8th International Day of Yoga being celebrated the world over. It was organized in a unique way in 16 different time zones. Early in the morning, Fiji's iconic Albert Park hosted the International Day of Yoga celebrations. Albert Park is the biggest park in Suva, which can accommodate 2 rugby matches at one time. There you see the visuals on your screen. It has Fiji's Parliament building at one side and the iconic Grand Pacific Hotel on the other side.
And just as a recap, in Egypt, International Yoga Day was celebrated at the Al-Azhar Park in the old city of Cairo, and this park was created by the Historic Cities program of the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, an entity of the Aga Khan Development Network, in the backdrop of the citadel of Cairo, and it was the seat of government of Egypt and also the residence of its rulers for nearly 700 years, from the 13th to the 19th century. The great mosque of Muhammad Ali Pasha, or the Alabaster Mosque, was also seen in the background of the park.
And the Kasbah des Odayas, a UNESCO heritage site in Rabat, Morocco, saw yoga enthusiasts perform the yoga protocol in the backdrop of the Atlantic Ocean. The Kasbah or citadel is located on a hill at the mouth of the Borgreg River, joining the Atlantic Ocean.
And Danske Industries building in Copenhagen in Denmark, it saw close to 100 people participating in the International Day of Yoga celebrations. This building, it sits opposite the City Hall and is next to the world famous Tivoli Gardens. And this building has served as the center for Danish business, and it's gaining a reputation also as a center for innovation and business.
On the 8th International Day of Yoga, an event was held in Bulgaria. The yoga enthusiasts performed yoga next to the iconic Alexander Nevsky Cathedral in the center of Sofia. The gold-domed Alexander Nevsky Cathedral in the center of Sofia is the main iconic national monument of Bulgaria, and all national celebrations are centered around it. Several yoga practices were witnessed by different yoga schools of Bulgaria.
An International Day of Yoga was also celebrated in Moscow. It played out in the backdrop of the Kremlin Square, or the Red Square, at the Moscow State University, and around 30 participants went through the yoga protocol in sync, and over 500 people participated in another session at the Gorky Park as well. So several locations in Moscow, they had yoga today.
So from Arctic region to the Antarctic region, this Yoga Day was celebrated. International Antarctica Research Station also saw enthusiastic participation by scientists and researchers.
Yes, indeed, and from one pole to the other, International Day of Yoga 2022 was also observed from, as we said, east to west continents, but also from north to south. It was observed in the Arctic region as well. And this event was organized in the city called Chukotka, and it's on the Arctic Circle in Russia.
And a serene location in Alaska amidst the gushing waterfalls saw some yoga enthusiasts celebrate the 8th International Day of Yoga. The mayor of Livingstone spoke about how the International Day of Yoga came to be observed with the UNGA's decision in 2014 and the importance of yoga being felt worldwide, and hence we got 21st of June as the International Day of Yoga.
And yoga demonstration was also held at Queensland's cricket club, the Gabba. In Brisbane, the Gabba is a major sports stadium in Australia, as we know, a famous cricket ground, and it has seen a lot of cricket matches, international cricket matches, other sports. And the stadium will also see will be the central venue of the 2032 Summer Olympics in Australia. And QCC Hall provides scenic background to visitors participating in the International Day of Yoga event today.
Yes, so this
so we-
all has happened
Absolutely.
in the day that has gone by, and of course the Guardian Ring will travel further west, and
So we continue to have with us Dr. S.M. Raheja, who's the Medical Superintendent and Director General of Health Service and Medical Superintendent at the GB Pant Hospital. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us. So some of the interesting questions that some people have been asking is there are several, you were talking about the mind a little earlier, there are several psychosomatic illnesses. People suddenly feel they have pain. How would you identify them, first of all, whether they are psychological or not, and can yoga be a cure?
Yeah, basically the major cause of psychosomatic disorder is because of the excessive stress for a very long time. Your body, your brain, your inner being is not able to take it any further. So, the sign and symptom, they will start appearing in a different way. Like a person can just be having feeling of fits at times.
Right.
Treating for many days sort of.
Okay.
So, all these disorders, they come because of the imbalance in the body hormones and the nervous system. Hormones, our body has got bliss hormones which are mood elevators like endorphin,
Okay.
serotonin, dopamine. When you are doing yoga, these hormones are released in the body, what we call bliss hormones, and they bring a feeling of well-being, a feeling of bliss, a feeling of harmony, and you are able to concentrate, you are able to focus better,
Sure.
you are able to relax and sleep better. Once you are into a state of continuous stress, at one point or the other, your nervous system will break down, your body will break down.
Okay.
So, that is how the sign symptoms starts appearing at what we call psychosomatic disorders, like
So there are a lot of
depression,
psychological
anxiety.
disorders. We'll come to
Yes,
them, whether
yes.
you can actually
So-
whether yoga can be a cure for them. Things like depression, to get people
Definitely.
out of inertia. But maybe Tanvi, we'll introduce our next
yes,
guest
we'll,
as
before
well.
we talk about more serious mental ailments, let me also welcome Professor Purnendra Jain. He's joining us from University of Adelaide from Australia. Welcome, sir, to our broadcast here on DD India. Professor Purnendra, we saw earlier shots and visuals coming from the Gabba Cricket Stadium in Brisbane. Tell us how Australians have embraced yoga over the years now, since we are celebrating 8th International Day of Yoga today.
Yes, thank you. I mean, like anywhere in the world, Australia is no different. The only difference is that we are down under. So in the northern hemisphere, you have got the longest day, and today in Australia, we have got the shortest day.
Okay.
So not much, sunshine here, but still the enthusiasm is great. And as you have already showcased, Brisbane Gabba cricket ground, they started this morning, and it's a 24-hour yoga session there. It's an ongoing process. But apart from Brisbane, around Australia and in different cities, people have organized such sessions, and it's just not limited to today's, because I went to a session last Sunday, last Saturday. So it's an ongoing process. It started last week, and it will continue into next week and week after. So people have embraced it in real. With real enthusiasm, we can see very clearly. But the point I want to actually emphasize is yoga. I mean, you have got medical experts there and yoga instructors who can talk about lots of technical and medical benefit and physical benefit of it. But I am a student of international relations.
Yes.
So I see this International Yoga Day as a great contribution of India to global society. And India has given this, it's a soft power of India, which has spread throughout the global community for the good of the global community. So this is something we need to celebrate very, very, enthusiastically. And this also says a lot about India's growing power in global diplomacy. So we see also as an example of great international community work coming out from India to the benefit of the entire society. If you want to comment more, I'm quite happy because what I've seen that there are not only yoga schools, but lots of community organizations and lots of spiritual organizations. Say, for example, Art of Living, for example, or there is a Gujarat-based called SRMD, which is Srimad Ramachandra Mission, Dharmpura. These people, with the help and assistance and blessing of the Indian High Commission in Australia and consulates around Australia, they have organized a number of yoga sessions. And this is not just, there are lots of Indian diaspora community who come to these sessions, but I have seen local participation. That is, those who are non-Indians, they have also participated in these sessions with great interest and with the idea that this is something good for them in physical terms. But I was listening that to some of your contributors that still, what kind of a spiritual benefit or they get is not clear to them. I think there's need to be a little bit more, emphasizing about the spiritual aspect of yoga as well, apart from what it can give to your physical activity. Overall, it has been a great experience over the last 8 years since it was started in a very kind of modest manner. It has grown big and growing bigger and bigger, and I can only see that it will be bigger in the years to come.
Professor Jain, so you tell us a little bit more about the spiritual aspect of yoga. Our guests have been, doctors of the medical profession, so we've been trying to relate quite a few of that, their understanding of it. But you did mention now that it is catching on in terms of spiritual quest. And we know that in the forms of yoga, there is the bhakti yoga, which, where you ultimately find a devotion to the oneness of being. So in that context, to reach that form or that pure form of yoga, what kind of stages does one have to go through?
Well, look, I won't claim an expertise in this area, but I do practice yoga not just for my physical well-being, but I see yoga as more a kind of holistic approach to your life and to your well-being. Because it's not just physical, it's mental, it's spiritual. So if we combine all these things together, then you get the maximum benefit of yoga, as I understand it. But as you said, a lot of people who come to these sessions on International Yoga Day, necessarily they are not switched on the spiritual aspect of yoga.
Right.
They just understand yoga as physical exercise, stretches here and there, and they will complain after 1 hour of session, oh, their body is aching here and there. But I tell them that, you need to follow up, keep it up. You just can't do one day on International Yoga Day, and that's the end of this story. So they have to continue, and we actually, through these sessions, there has to be more knowledge about the spiritual aspect of yoga, that yoga is not just physical exercise. It's a lot of mental, your mental well-being, and also your, ultimately it gives you spiritual satisfaction. You reach a different level in your life through the practice of yoga, and you become more compassionate, you love things, and you see people as they are rather than judging themselves. So I think it teaches you lots of spiritual aspects which are attached to yoga, and that's something I think still lacking internationally.
So let's bring in Dr. Raheja on that point. If you think positively, and if you actually does it help you as an individual in terms of your physical health? You know, I mean, if you develop that kind of spiritual dimension that Professor Jain is talking about, does it help you physically in your body? Your body will be at tune in a sense, rather than, or is there a sense that, you know, disease within the body is caused by rather negative thoughts and stress?
Yeah, very, very good question. I always say a state of anger will release stress hormones. There is a rage reaction, there is a wild reaction, there is a sympathetic stimulation, but ultimately what it leads to. If you see, if you are angry on someone somewhere down, after that you feel very weak and tired, because your body has released lot of stress hormone, adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol. So, that is a flight and fight reaction, that is basically the reaction of the body to a state of fear or fight. So, ultimately these hormones will kick your blood sugar levels, your heart level high, your BP goes high, your respiration is stimulated, your whole body is prepared to fight or flight. So, ultimately once that phase is over, you will feel tired and exhausted, and these hormones can stay in your body for 48 hours or more even.
Right.
You may not be able to sleep that night or maybe next couple of days because of that anxiety and fear. At the same time, when you are doing yoga, you are doing exercise for that matter, you are doing some good activity like meeting your friend, family, your mother, your children. So, that releases bliss hormones.
Bliss hormone.
Sure.
So, bliss hormones are the endorphin which attaches person to person, you know, emotionally you will feel good about a person. Serotonin, dopamine, they are mood elevators, you feel elevated, and these hormones are going to stay in your body for more than 24 hours again. So, that is why I say yoga is a dose of happiness.
Sure. So,
if
I
you are
can
doing 1 hour
you
yoga,
just, just a little bit, and you know, because I have got some questions that are coming to me, and one person asks, does yoga affect a man differently from a woman? I mean,
I
how
think
would
this
you
is
like
another
to,
very good question.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yoga can be done by anyone above the age of 5 years and even beyond the age of 50 years. Yoga can be done by a child, adolescent, girl, boy, woman, man. Even at the age of 65, 70, 80, you can keep going with yoga. But if you have got certain conditions like high blood pressure, cardiac problems, stroke, paralysis, backache, osteoarthritis, blood cancer or any kind of other ailment, it is better to consult your doctor, treating doctor, what kind of yoga you can do. And secondly, the yoga should be done under the supervision of a yoga acharya, a trained teacher who is qualified.
Okay.
Like I always say, if you are sick, go to a qualified doctor. For yoga, it's a special line, it's a very, you know, precise and specific branch of in which we are involving physical body, mental, spiritual.
So, but that brings us to another question. There are many schools of yoga. There is Iyengar yoga, there is Vinyas yoga, now there is power yoga these days, which involves a lot of you know, music and aerobatics there. So, how does one decide that which form or school of yoga I have to enter into?
You know, basically yoga is an ancient science which started 5000 years ago. Shiva is the first yogi, if you see the Indian mythology, history. So, from that the different branches, different sets of yoga started, and in the modern days, because of the modern challenges of our life, like the life has become very fast, challenging, ambition, odd working hours, time issues, financial problems, family stresses. So, now accordingly different yogic teachers have modified and developed different kind of yogas.
Okay.
Like there is the office yoga also, you know, I was just going
Okay.
through in the morning.
Okay.
So now you can do yoga in your office in your lunch time also, like you are doing this, you know, then
Again,
cervical,
probably
yes,
Sahaj
yes.
yoga.
Basically, what is yoga? Yoga is a basically complete physically, mentally you are getting involved, spiritually you are going to involve in that. So once you are doing some posture, like you are stretching your body,
Right.
then after time you relax. Now there are studies, once you are stretching, your body gets, cells or muscles are getting tense, then you relax. So what happens, you are getting benefits at the cellular level.
Okay.
Now there are studies which is shown that yoga improves your cellular oxygen utilization capacity. It works at the mitochondria, you know, there is a body, our body is made of trillions
Okay.
and trillions of cells. In that there is a mitochondria which is responsible to release ATP to ADP and release energy in our body.
Let's
so
bring
it
in
works at that
Professor.
cellular level.
Let's bring in Professor Jain into the discussion. You're an expert in the social sciences, so you know, I mean, what do you think over time? You did mention about how yoga is growing. Would you see it changing the way people live in big cities? Because you know, most of the problems that people have in terms of lifestyle diseases comes from the big city culture. You know, how to fit in and the rough and tumble of life.
Yes.
Will you see it changing the way people live in the big city?
Well, already there is quite a bit of awareness among middle class and big city dwellers that their mental and well-being is important, their health is important, and it's not just at the individual level. Living in Australia, I see there's a lot of emphasis from health professionals, from government, because if anyone gets sick, there is a price attached to it. If somebody doesn't turn up to work, then you have got lost working hours, less productivity. So all these things are attached to the economic aspects of a country and a city or a state. So that way, government wants people to maintain a very healthy lifestyle. And to that end, of course, yoga is becoming quite a popular way of exercising. I mean, you already mentioned about different types of yoga, even dancing or rap, kind of giving the ancient Indian yoga a modern and contemporary version of it to attract people. But they are more kind of physical movement in my view. They are not sold as spiritual or mental well-being. So that's more kind of physical. So I think we need to combine this physical, mental, spiritual aspects. And as the doctor mentioned that, you need to go to a trained yoga instructor. Just watching YouTube may not be very helpful because you might have certain health conditions. And if you do practice yoga in the wrong way, that can have adversarial effect on your body. So it's very important. I just want to make another point. I mean, I have seen in Australia some Indian organizations running yoga and meditation courses in prisons for criminals. And talking to them, they have told me that, when they go to prisons and talk about yoga, talk about this spiritual and aspects of yoga, most, inmates, they take this very, very seriously, and they have found actually some positive results coming out of them. So obviously it's just not, ordinary people, but people whose mental makeup is, they have committed crime or they have criminal mindset. It could be quite a reformist process for them as well. And we have already seen that kind of evidence emerging. So from social science point of view, I think yoga has got many aspects of benefit. It's economic, it's social, and also, now politicians in Australia, you go to any political party in Australia and tell them that we are having this yoga session, they will give you their support. Whatever they can give, they can sponsor a hall free of charge, or they can have some politician come and talk about how important this yoga is. So there is a lot of political, economic and social aspects attached to this practice.
Okay, Professor Purnendra and Dr. Raheja, before we talk further on yoga and its immense benefits, let's give our viewers more glimpses of how the 8th International Day of Yoga was celebrated or is being celebrated the world over. So we will talk about South Africa's Johannesburg city now. The Constitution Hill also witnessed yoga lovers come together to mark the 8th International Day of Yoga. South Africa's Constitutional Hill is a national heritage site and home to the Constitutional Court of South Africa. In fact, situated in Johannesburg includes the notorious Old Fort Prison Complex and Number 4 Prison, where the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi, had been detained in...
The owner of this body, the two coming together, the body and the owner of the body. So, these days. So each nation is focused on its
neck practice. Breathe.
Situated in Johannesburg includes...
And the iconic Kingsmead Cricket Stadium in Durban in South Africa also saw an impressive gathering of yoga enthusiasts coming together there.
The owner of this body, the two coming together, the body and
we also have some breathtaking visuals from the iconic Cristo Redentor or Christ the Redeemer statue in Rio de Janeiro. And it's the 4th largest statue of Jesus Christ in the world and the largest Art Deco style sculpture on the planet. And to top it all, in 2007 the statue was deemed as one of the 7 new wonders of the world. Spirituality from the east to the west is merged with yoga enthusiasts performing yoga protocols. Well, we continue to have our guests with us. Dr. Raheja, what do you think? I mean, we were talking more about the psychological aspects. Would you think that, and I did mention about women and men having a different, would you say that yoga can cure a hormonal imbalance in a woman?
Definitely. It has got very good effect to maintain and balance our endocrine glands, which release the hormones. So, as I told you, the stress hormones, NORAD, AD, cortisol levels, they are decreased because of the stimulation of the parasympathetic system, and at the same time the bliss hormones are released. So, yoga has a very good benefit to balance the hormones.
Yes.
Also our nervous system, like autonomic nervous system, and it harmonizes all the 3 systems of the body, like autonomic nervous system, sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for increasing our heart rate, blood pressure, anxiety, fear, because it releases stress hormones, and it improves our parasympathetic system. So with that, what you will find, yoga will basically balance our heart rate, our blood pressure, our appetite, our intestine movements, our reaction, our stress levels, anxiety levels. It will improve our way to relax also. So what I feel is yoga is a basically complete science. It works at our body, it works at our mind, emotions and energy. Like the karma yoga will utilize the body, the jnana yoga will utilize the mind, the bhakti yoga utilizes the emotions, and kriya yoga will utilize the energy. So with that we attain freedom, and ultimately once we come to mukti, nirvana, moksha, that is dhyan yoga.
Yes.
You will find you go to a state of bliss, where these worldly things will not affect you much. What the fact is how you react to the situation.
Sure.
Like the modern life is full of stress, challenge, time
Okay.
frames, financial problems. Everybody is rushing, running
Yes, yes.
to achieve maximum. Yoga is not saying that you detach from these things, but the yoga will teach you to harmonize yourself.
Sure.
So be in the mess, but be calm.
Yes, yes. Be calm.
Yeah.
Go in a subtle way, the right way,
Okay.
and do your duty, your responsibility, because this question has been asked me time and again.
Okay, sure.
Ki-
So
when you say let it go, it doesn't mean let it go. It is let it go means the negative fear, negative thoughts, anxiety, because that only kills your efficiency and your thinking. But if you are subtle, you are cool, you are calm, you are concentrated, you are focused, you will be able to handle the same situation in a better way.
Okay. If we look at, at the earliest stage of yoga, I mean, if people are suffering from, or they have certain addictions in life, common addictions like a cup of coffee, for instance, maybe drinking several cups of coffee a day, or consuming sweets and chocolates. Are these things that can be cured by yoga to a large extent? Other addictions also can be added to them.
Yes, yoga, as we discussed, it will balance your body, mind, emotions. So
what you're achieving through yoga, I can also get from a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, for instance.
yes, very nice question. When you're taking a cup of coffee, you will have a kick. Caffeine will enter your body, it will kick your body, it will increase your heart rate, blood pressure, and you have a feeling of well-being. This is what I feel. Even I've seen people smoking when they are stressed. Outside the office or in the corner, yeah, I'm too stressed, yeah. So, this is a myth basically. This question has been asked to me time and again. What smoking is doing? It's again stimulating your sympathetic system, increasing your heart rate, blood pressure, and stimulating your body to prepare for a fight or flight situation. But at the same time, once you are out of that, after 30 minutes or 40 minutes, you will feel tired and exhausted. You must have seen it कि उसके बाद आपको सुस्ती आने लगती है. तो बॉडी ने एकदम बहुत ज़्यादा रिस्पॉन्ड किया उस सिचुएशन को, then it is not able to sustain, because ultimately body has got limited capacity. Like if you are holding a cup of half a glass of water, if you are holding it for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, fine. If we ask you to hold it for 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, you will start feeling pain in your arm, and ultimately you will give up. यार और नहीं होता मेरे से. Even though that is just 200 grams or maybe 100 grams, but you feel tired once you are sustaining that pressure and stress. So yoga will tell you balance yourself,
Right.
harmonize, when let to go, how to go about it. And the beauty of yoga is, with yoga you can do other exercise also. Like if you see the cricketers, hockey players, footballers, they are all there is a yoga trainer in Indian cricket team, hockey team,
Yes.
because there is a different pressure game once you are playing at a very higher level, international levels. So yoga will tell you how to handle that pressure.
Yes, to handle pressure, be more productive in
Yes,
the long
to be
run.
more productive and more focused, more concentrated.
Yes.
So that is the way I feel. Even for exam stress,
Yes.
yoga plays an important role.
So since you mentioned about office yoga a little while ago, of course, performing yoga, observing yoga every day, making it a part of your routine, your way of life, it will improve our productivity, which is in the interest of the companies and the corporates we work for as well. So what more can corporates and governments do world over to take this message of yoga and propagate it as to the maximum extent possible?
Like I will tell you, in GB Pant Hospital, we have got a yoga room, and it is there for decades, since 90s. Because I first came across my first session of yoga in 95 at GV Pant hospital only. So we conducted so many studies on heart patient, cardiac patient, and we could find that it is really useful for those test patient, heart patients, stroke patients, psychologically depressed patient, the patient full of anxiety, fear. And the latest studies are coming where the yoga is even useful for a person who has got a chronic illness, because it overall changes your way to accept it. Like you have got COPD, asthma, you are doing pranayam, deep breathing, it improves your cardiorespiratory function, and slowly and steadily you build over it. The catch here is yoga will not give you benefit in one day. Like today is International Yoga Day, and the theme is yoga for humanity, मानवता के लिए योग. तो आपको ये देखना है कि you have to do it now continuously. Yoga can be done anytime, anywhere. Preferably should be done empty stomach in the morning before the breakfast. After when you wake up, clear your tummy and then you can do it. Or 2 to 3 hours after meals, or half an hour or 1 hour before your next meal.
So important messages being given.
So you can do yoga in your lunch time.
Yes.
Like lunch hours are 1 to 2 p.m. So you can do 1 to 1:30 yoga, and after that you can take your lunch. So this is what we practice normally. You know, this is how you can handle your stress.
Right.
After coming from office, you can relax for some time, half an hour, empty stomach, you can do yoga. So all you need is 2 yards. 2 गज जगह चाहिए, एक योगा मैट चाहिए, और आपका will चाहिए.
There are various other aspects which we'll talk to you about, but in the meantime.
So in the meantime, let's talk about where all Yoga Day was celebrated. BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Mandir in London saw nearly 100 to 150 yoga enthusiasts participate in the 8th International Day of Yoga.
When Honorable Prime Minister had first introduced yoga in the 69th session of the UN General Assembly in 2014, he had remarked that yoga is not just about exercise, it's a way to discover the sense of oneness with yourself, with the world and with nature. And he very rightly said that for each one of us individually, yoga is like a health insurance with zero budget.
People gathered at the Cathedral Square in Erfurt. This is to perform yoga, and on the square from the Minerva Fountain and the Erthal Obelisk. Today, the Domplatz serves as a marketplace, and every year during Advent, it is the scene of the Erfurt Christmas market, which is one of the largest in Germany. So, yoga being celebrated at all iconic places. So, Dr. Raheja, you of course have been elaborating several aspects of yoga, but my friend asks me through you to ask, can a woman who is trying to get pregnant for a long time benefit from yoga to help her get pregnant?
Yes.
And how so?
There are certain asanas which they can do, but under the supervision of a yoga teacher. And at the same time, when you are starting in the beginning, you should start yoga under the supervision of a instructor, yoga teacher or yoga acharya, because yoga is not just physical posture, it is something beyond that. To bring harmony, to balance our body, it's a holistic approach to happiness and harmony with good health. So after that, once you have learned that yoga, then you can do it on your own. Because I will tell you, because even I have learned yoga in 95 from Guruji when they came from Bangalore.
Sure.
And then we have conducted session at in our hospital and college also through different yogic sansthan. So I think that is the right way to do it. It's not a mere exercise, this what the
Right.
message must go. It is
In
something.
fact, we are also joined by Professor Purnendra Jain, who is joining us from Adelaide still. Thanks for being with us and continuing to stay with us, Professor Jain.
Thank you.
So the issue about society and social sciences, and one looks at activities that can build teams. So do you think that yoga, even in your university setup or in your own classroom, can build sort of team building activity through yoga? Is it possible?
Well, it's possible. We are not still there. But we need to make students aware of the benefit of yoga, because very often, as the doctor said, at examination times, lots of students have got stress issues. Sometimes they give up their studies, they don't turn up at the exam, and so on and so forth. So I think it's very important. At an informal level, in many universities there are yoga clubs, and that's run by students' organizations. But I have seen some of them, but very few turn up to those classes because gym is cool. Yoga may not be that cool for them, especially young kids. But maybe because they don't understand the benefit and what kind of not just physical but mental benefit they can get through yoga. And yoga is not, as we have been saying and doctor has been emphasizing, it's not just physical exercise. It's about a holistic approach to it. So this holistic idea has to be inculcated in the youth, in the young generation, and we have to make it very clear, whoever is doing yoga instructions or advocate for yoga, that what kind of benefit they can get from it.
Yes.
So it's possible, but we are not still there.
Yeah, and Professor Purnendra, if you heard Prime Minister Modi's address from Mysuru in the morning Indian Standard Time, he said that the whole universe starts from our own body and soul, and yoga makes us conscious of everything within us and build a sense of awareness for peace. And if I may add to this, if one is peaceful within, then the peace travels to far greater boundaries. And of course, the world that we are living in, of course, we have conflict. The conflict of Russia-Ukraine has gone way beyond anybody imagined. So what more can governments do to spread the message of peace through yoga, since you were mentioning about the spiritual aspect, which you feel is not being propagated enough?
Yeah, you have got a point there, and I agree with that. But the world of international politics is quite crude and very, always quarrel and fighting.